So this is Florida. The stair is kind of I was born in 1980. In 1980, we had money. We were rich, and lots of American cultures came in, like movie and music. I lived in USA when I was like 4 years old or like 8 years old. So the fundamental of my value is kind of determined by American culture. It's difficult for probably my generation to avoid American influence. This city is largely influenced by American culture because the base is in the center of the city. But in 2024 now, I feel like the US culture is very weak in Japan. It's like for the old people, the nostalgic people only say US culture is very good or interesting. Because one day I saw it, like the influence from US is like embodied in my core of my personality, and it's gonna be my theme through my life. And I do like to follow like new topics and new generations, but most of the characters in my movie has to come from myself. I received the US cultures in the 80s, so probably yeah, I'll get older and older, but whatever age the character might be, they'll probably keep on explaining about the relation with US and US culture is what I feel. Yeah. And this is what all the house in Yamato used to be until like 10 years ago. For me, filmmaking is like to record and keep the memory of that landscape and that time and that space, focusing on architectures and places that might go away or that might fade away. Many places fade away after I film them. Like most of the location in tourism is not there anymore because Singapore changes so quick. And like we went to the camp car today. Last year I went there, the camp car was still there, but after 10 years it's gone. But Sakura's house, the main house where the family lives, it's the same design of the house that my family was like living in, and it's actually my mother's house. But my mother's good friend from high school borrowed us the house. So I have this memory of my grandma's house, which is my mother's house, but it used to be a tiny, typical flat house, one-room flat house, and my mother was raised there. And my mother had five sister brothers, so there were like 7 families inside that one-room house. And my mother didn't have enough space to study, so my grandfather bought a locker room, a big locker room outside, and he put it outside of the house. So my mother was studying inside the locker room every day. Like in winter, she said it was so cold because it's actually outside, but she was studying. And after all those study, my mother is the first person to enter university in my whole family. So it was like that. Our family was very, very poor, and 7 people living in one room is crazy, right? So they didn't have any privacy or anything. So they made their rule to like, from here to here is my room, and I've heard of that story. So I was imagining how did they cut up the room, and my mother didn't say she used a curtain, but she told me the locker story. So I kind of like transported into that curtain inside the room. So yes, that house is like a real copy of my mother's house, which my grandfather made money after that, and then he added more rooms on top of that one room. So it became bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's the place where I live now. We kind of renovated everything. So I felt it's like the very fundamental of my um, mother's family's history, and why shouldn't I use that if I'm filming in Yamato? And for Plastic, that station, which is a very important location for the story, where they meet and where they call the girl. That's like a station where they made it for the expo 20 years ago, but they didn't have enough money to deconstruct it, so they just left it, and it's like a ghost station everywhere around that area. But recently, they finally got the money, so they started like breaking it all, and I think it will be gone in 1 or 2 years. So, and also the main character's house, which is a very old Japanese house with this tiny factory of his old grandfather inside. That house is very, very old too, so it will probably be um, taken down in less than 10 years because of those earthquake rules and everything in Japan. At that time, like 4G, or I don't know, I think it was 3G still. Phone internet was slow, and also, as I mentioned you today, the internet rate of Yamato was like the second lowest in all the village or cities in Japan. Many people still didn't have internet. I mean, Wi-Fi 10 years ago in 2014. That's unbelievable, but it was true. It's a very poor city, but there was a junior high kid who got into high school, but she couldn't afford the train from Koza Shibuya to Yamato, so she sued the city to pay for all the train. So that is the reality of this city. They can't even afford like how much, like a $2 trip going to high school, and I kind of wanted to show that not in a very sad way or like a pessimistic way, but in a humoristic way. So that Wi-Fi scene comes from, I think, that kind of image.
平屋で暮らし食べるのはうまくもまずくもない惣菜
I do like to enjoy those like success get out stories in hip hop as an entertainment, but that's the story in US, and at that time of 2014, using hip hop as a tool to success or something was like felt very unreal for me, because most of the famous rappers do sell for a few years, but afterwards they get caught or they like fade away. Probably, I don't think Sakura will success in the rap world, but she will find her way of her distance with that medium and keep on rapping or whatever expressing is what I kind of feel. And I thought of that in 2014, but I start thinking and thinking this 10 years, and my idea kind of changed, my image kind of changed probably, but yeah, to be honest, I think that's the fundamental of me too. I mean, I just want to keep on expressing what I really believe and what I feel at the time, instead of like, calculating the success and like how much money money is important for sure because we have to live, but anyways, expressing what I feel and what I believe with my friends or whoever I believe at that point is probably important for me. And the sound in the afternoon. Go home, go home. My films are pretty difficult, I think. It's each very personal for me and it's a self-portrait, but beyond all of my past film, I think Yamato is like the most close to my heart and my life. The guy who did the soundtrack of the movie was like the only guy who was doing southern hip hop at that time. Now he's very famous. The rapper singing in the movie, he really is like was the most famous rapper in this area, Yamato Sagami area. But recently he got caught and I think he's gonna be in jail for like 5 years at least. And after that, he's gonna be like 50, right? So I don't know what he's gonna do, but at that point, he was very real and very honest for me. And reading his lyric about living in Yamato, going to this mall and doing something, or this station, or blah blah blah, which is around this area. I was super encouraged as like an independent filmmaker at that time. Like no one knows me, no one watches my movie, no one gives a shit. But there is this like same age rapper who's struggling and telling the story of his hometown forever. There was a mall 2 stations from here, and it had a tower record. So in Yamato, when they made a tower record inside a mall, it became a big news. Tower record and Starbucks, when it came, everyone was like so shocked and happy. So after graduating from college, I didn't have anything to do and I didn't have any job, so I was like driving around and just like killing time every day, like the main character of Yamato. And I, like, not every day, but every week I went to Tower Records to listen to music because we had to buy records at that time and I didn't have any money, so I was just like listening it at Tower Record. And one day there were like a lot of local musicians record in this like special hip hop corner, and then I bought it and then started listening. And as I said, all the name and the location and whatever, and the lyric was like so close to my life, so I was very surprised and encouraged. Yeah. Especially my uncle and my aunt, they loved US culture. They were so proud when someone like, oh, my friend went into the base and played at a like a concert hall or whatever. My friend worked for the US Army or whatever. So it was like their dream to be a part of the base. I didn't have any like hate or like anger against them. I just thought like, oh, US is like, they're so proud of like working for the US and being close to US. I still remember when we went to my family party, and I came back from US probably at that time, and all of my family said, so that means you speak English, Daisuke? And I said, oh, I speak a little, and everyone was like shocked and said, you're the only one in our family who speaks English, just like your mother is the first one to go to university. And so like America and US and English was their dream, everything. And but for this film, I had to express the negative part, like it's noisy and they don't come out, but they control our society totally, and that kind of a thing. But at the same time, I have this extreme love towards their culture, so it's very easy to make a movie about like, oh, get out of the base, or like give us land back. That's very easy, right? Very boring for me. And I mean, even saying, oh, US base is so cool, I love US base, looks much more ironic and interesting for me. But anyways, I wanted to make this balance between my anger and hate and my love and my understanding of what's going on in my city. We can go inside once every year for the summer festival, but we need a passport to get in. Like music wise, and let's say like graffiti and those street art, street culture, it does come out a bit, because this area is very famous for hip hop and also like graffitis and dancing and skateboarding. Most of the influence are something that we cannot like obviously tell, because mall culture and whatever, the big chain shop culture, which suddenly spread 20 years ago. But recently, I read those articles that the base kind of offered the Japanese government to make a mall and to make those drugstore and 7-Eleven everywhere. So it started from this area, and now everywhere around Japan is like that. Many things in our culture that we don't even realize is very much controlled by them and covered by them. I still think it's a imitation culture. I mean, like a copy culture. People get angry when they're called a copy or imitator, but I'm totally fine with that. Yeah, I was angry when I was told that Japan copies everything and Japan is a copy, but after thinking, yeah, we are a copy, but we make original copies, like a strange copy, and that strangeness is where every person's originality lives, is what I kind of feel now. Like mixing what have been done already is how we show how original we are, is what I feel now. So after starting thinking like that, filmmaking and expressing and everything became like much more easier for me, relaxing for me, because when I was young I wanted to do something so original that never happened in the world, and I thought I was so original, but now I don't feel I'm so original, and yeah, I just mix things, and the way how I mix things is my originality. So I'm like a mixer or a DJ is what I consider myself now, and Japanese culture should probably think like that too, because it's really a copy of everything, and our subconscious is US, our conscious is, I don't know, but our ultra conscious is China, right? So we're a mix of China culture and US culture, but everyone thinks they're very original and they came from nowhere, they came from emperor, maybe they'll start saying. So
じゃあどうして？
I was raised in US when I was very young, and I started to learn English, but when I came back to Japan, in school and everywhere I go, people treated me as an American, and I can say they even bullied me because they thought I'm American, but I don't speak so much English, and all the time I felt like I'm a stranger in Japanese society because of that. And I sometimes told my parents I wanted to go back to US because I don't feel like fitting here, and but at the same time I understood already that if I go back to Japan, US, I'll probably feel that I'm very Japanese and not American. So from my very young time, I was like between Japan and US, and something that is not included in either of them. So that is like the Korean Japanese in Japan, a little bit Zainichi people. As you saw today, in the city of Yamato, there's lots of foreigners and Japanese going in and out, but that's not normal in Japan. Like in Japan, if you go to somewhere, it's recently there's lots of tourists, but basically it's all like people who look like typical Japanese. You don't have so much chance to meet foreigners, and I wanted to keep myself in the position of between something, instead of considering myself as a Japanese or American or whatever Chinese. It brings me lots of pain and stress and pressure at the same time, but it also brings me some kind of a motive, is what I feel.
さくらヒップホップ好きなんだ。どのミュージシャンが好き？
So Rei and Kan Hanai is Korean herself, not in the movie, but herself is Korean. There's a documentary about her choosing which nationality she will choose, is on YouTube, I think. So she was born in Japan. She doesn't speak so much Korean, but her passport is Korean. And Endo Nina, the Rei, she is half Irish and half Japanese, but she doesn't speak English much. But she looks Western, so everyone treats her like a Western model. She doesn't feel Western at all in herself. So that kind of conflict probably will give power to this movie and also show the future of Japan, because Japan should be like that, is what I still believe, instead of kicking foreigners out of the country and like forcing them to do like awful jobs. Yes, and yeah, the reason she spoke perfect Japanese is I thought of directing her to speak weird Japanese, but it felt so fake. So, and can I bring someone from US who speaks perfect English but not perfect Japanese? It was impossible under that budget. So I tried to find like a fine line between that, and the result was that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There was a kid by the base, you remember? Probably like a half black kid with a basketball. I mean, what else are there is what I think. So how can you be so sure that you're pure or whatever is what I feel. And my grandmother was picked up on the street, so we don't know who her real parents are, but she has a really big frame. I mean, she has a big body. She's very tall. My brother is taller than me, my father is taller than me, and my uncle is taller than me. So pretty obviously there's some Korean blood in my father's side's family, is what everyone says. And how can you tell that you're like pure Japanese, as what many Japanese say? And no one is pure, everyone is mixed, and human is like half of the member of the Japanese soccer national team is like mixed. And what are you talking about? Pure Japanese is what I think. So I do wanna keep on filming that kind of my value and also what I feel real in my town. Yes.